Namaste. The most recent offer from Israel that includes a permanent ceasefire, exchange of hostages, and withdrawal of troops from Gaza and the West Bank to prepare for a transfer of power to a Palestinian Authority, excluding Hamas, from the negotiations should be acceptable to Hamas, as they should now realize that their objective of a free Palestine has been met, and the moral support that they have received from the global public and most members of the United Nations will dissipate if there is any hesitation in taking this forward. Ceasefire in all territories designated as under Palestine Government Authority, overseen and actioned by the UN Security Council and UN peacekeeping forces. Cessation of all imposed Israeli restrictions on Palestinians in Palestine-governed territories. UNSC and member countries to enforce the partition boundaries marked and boundaries respected. Removal of all USA and allied armed forces from the Mediterranean and countries in the Middle East. Israel controls all of the Palestinian territory of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, which, according to the latest news available, they have decimated, making the Gaza Strip uninhabitable, and have proceeded to do the same in the West Bank. Before reaching the point of no return, the ceasefire initiative suggested by Egypt should have been actioned in its entirety. Otherwise, the possibility of Palestine's neighbors actively joining the conflict against Israeli aggression will be inevitable. If enlarging the conflict is the choice of the Israeli people, then they must be aware and prepared to lose much of the territory they currently occupy, as Palestine's neighbors may not hesitate to retaliate against Israel's genocide of the Palestinians and cleansing the territory of ethnic Palestinians. The two states are carved from the original Palestinian territory, later called Israel. The Gaza Strip and West Bank within the territory are designated as under Palestinian administration, while the entire territory has, since 1948, been under strict Zionist control. The global community has, since 1947, suggested the best solution to the conflict between the Israelis and Palestinians is the creation of two separate states, one for each ethnicity. The Palestinians have already so far sacrificed thousands of men, women, and children in solidarity for the promise of an independent and self-governed Palestinian state, and continue their struggle for their independence from apartheid control. The division of the territory, as shown in the illustration, suggests two separate divisions, with each having access to the Mediterranean Sea and available land and other natural resources. Challenges will need to be met and sacrifices made to create the stability both countries seek. By July 6, 2024, to coincide with the Islamic New Year, all illegal settlements in the Palestinian territories are to be evacuated under the oversight of the UN peacekeeping forces. Israeli government to resettle its deported citizens within its own designated territory. Non-aggression pact to be entered into between Palestine and Israeli governments, with the recognition of the State of Israel and the State of Palestine as separate, independent countries. I am truly surprised to see that almost 60% of the Israelis approve and support the nihilistic direction the Zionist government has shepherded them towards, which, as a people, have so far succeeded in avoiding. The Israeli population, although highly literate, have allowed themselves to be influenced by the Zionist aim of increasing their insecurities through campaigns that increase distrust against all who disagree with Zionist policy and practice. The recent calls and demonstrations for the removal of Netanyahu by large and growing sections of the population, on seeing the government's actions and failures against the Palestinians since October 7, will not be enough to reestablish a true democracy after 16 plus years of abuse by Netanyahu's extreme right authoritarian rule. Can the Israelis really expect no retaliation against them after the IDF, under government approval, has murdered over 25,000 men, women, and children? As they continue their campaign against all national and international public opinion, doesn't the Zionist government of Israel realize that in the absence of a peaceful solution, even a few survivors of the genocide perpetuated on these Palestinians in Gaza, the West Bank, and Palestinians scattered across the world might commit themselves to retaliating in any way possible for them, thus putting the entire Jewish population in Israel and the rest of the world under the constant threat of their retaliation?